Evening has come, and Twilight and Granny Smith are sitting on the porch enjoying the warm breeze. Below them, final preparations are being made on the party field. Granny Smith strikes a match and lights her pipe. She blows a perfect smoke ring and watches it rise into the air. Twilight smiles as she puffs on her own pipe. From her lips, a tiny, smoky, sailing ship with masts and sails glides through the center of Granny Smith's smoke ring. "Oh," the old pony says in admiration. "Twilight, my old friend, this will be a night to remember." Boom! A firework explodes into the night sky high above Ponyville in the shape of a great green tree with unfolding branches, with its glowing flowers raining down from the branches, evaporating just above the upturned faces of the delighted partygoers. Hundreds of ponies feasting and drinking. Carts of cider are scattered about, and the tables are piled high with steaming scones and savories. Twilight hurries about, lighting fireworks with a blue spark that dances magically from her horn, while Granny Smith is greeting visitors. Apple Bloom and her very best friend, Sweetie Belle, sit at a table drinking the beverages allowed for the younger ponies. Apple Bloom notices Sweetie Belle's eyes keep flickering to another handsome pony, Pipsqueak, dancing some distance away. "Go on, Sweetie Belle," Apple Bloom giggles. "Ask Pip for a dance." "Isn't that the boy pony's job?" "Who cares? Go on." Suddenly, Sweetie Belle's cup is snatched out of her hoofs as Apple Bloom thrusts her into the middle of a passing throng of dancers. Sweetie Belle looks horrified as she is swept away. Apple Bloom laughs and finishes Sweetie Belle's drink. She looks over to see Twilight as she sets alight a particularly spectacular firework that draws gasps of admiration from the party guests. Granny Smith is off in a corner relating stories of her adventure to a group of young Shetland children. "So there I was, at the mercy of 3 monstrous buffaloes," she said melodramatically, "and they're arguing about how they were gonna cook us." A filly stares with an upturned face, her eyes growing larger and larger. "Whether it be turned on a spit, or minced in a pie, or whether they were going to sit on us one by one and squash us into jelly," she continued. "But they spent so long arguing that the sun's first light crept over the top of the trees, and poof!" Stunned gasps escaped the lips of her younger audience. "Turn them all to stone." By Twilight's cart, filled to the brim with fireworks, are 2 mischievous young ponies. One is Scootaloo, a small pony with an orange coat and a fuchsia mane. The other, Pinkie Pie, larger in stature, but equal in lack of maturity. Pinkie Pie scrambles on the back of Twilight's wagon, snatching up a small firework. Scootaloo whispers urgently, "No, the big one, the big one." Pinkie Pie grabs a huge red rocket with a curling, almost tail-like top. Scootaloo gives a nod of satisfaction. Inside of a tent, the two look as the fuse crackles with the flame. Scootaloo is holding out the big rocket. She looks aghast at the fizzing fuse that Pinkie Pie has just lit. "You're supposed to stick it in the ground," Scootaloo says in a worried whisper. "It is in the ground," Pinkie replies. Scootaloo fearfully tosses the rocket to Pinkie Pie. The fuse sizzles angrily. "Outside! This was your idea," Pinkie Pie says defensively. Pinkie Pie attempts to throw the fizzing rocket back to Scootaloo when whoosh! The 2 ponies are suddenly blown off their hooves in a shower of sparks as the rocket blasts off with frightening power. The rocket zooms over the party. It suddenly bursts apart, forming the shape of a great red golden dragon. Fire gushes from its nostrils as it turns back and flies low toward the startled crowd. Apple Bloom looks up and watches the firework dragon with alarm, but Granny Smith is oblivious to the panicking crowd and impending danger. "Granny Smith!" Apple Bloom shouts. "Watch out for the dragon!" "Dragon?" Granny Smith asks. "Nonsense, there's been a dragon in these parts for 1,000 years." Apple Bloom hurriedly pulls Granny Smith to the ground, just as the dragon roars a few feet above their heads like a flaming express train. Ponies dive to the ground, tables overturn, tents collapse, food flies everywhere. The firework dragon turns a somersault and explodes over the hills with a deafening bang. This gets the biggest cheer of the night. Scootaloo and Pinkie Pie smile up at it with ashy faces and smoking manes. "That was good," Scootaloo says. "Let's get another one," Pinkie Pie speaks excitedly. 2 lavender hooves suddenly clamp down on Scootaloo and Pinkie Pie's shoulders. The 2 look up at Twilight's stern face. "Scootaloo and Pinkie Pie, I might have known." The two mischievous ponies are now leaning over a barrel, washing dishes in soapy water, with Twilight sitting nearby, smoking her pipe and sipping cider. Cries of "Speech! Speech!" erupt from the party. Twilight watches as Granny Smith steps on a stool. She bows in gratitude at the applause. "Speech!" Apple Bloom shouts. Granny Smith clears her throat as the crowd's shouts begin to die down. "My dear ponies, my dear Shetlands, today is my 111th birthday. Yes, and the last 71 years is far too short a time to live among such excellent, admirable Shetlands." There is a tremendous outburst of approval at the statement. "I don't know half of you as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you as well as half as you deserve." There is scattered clapping and confused murmurs as the guests try to work out if that was a compliment or not. Twilight smiles to herself. A strange hum seems to fill Granny Smith's head as a bead of sweat rolls down her brow. Her hoof pulls something out of her cloak pocket and holds it under her draping shroud. "I have things to do," Granny Smith says almost in a whisper, "and I have put this off far too long." She tightens her grip on the small object under her cloak. "I regret to announce," she says loudly to the crowd, "that this is the end. I'm going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell." Granny Smith looks across at Apple Bloom, which makes her hesitate a moment. "Goodbye," she whispers. At this moment, Granny Smith instantly vanishes.